So, okay, so let's say I create a class called school, okay, or university or whatever, right? So I say class university, okay, and here we'll have say def in it, right? And it takes two parameters, um, name of the university and year established, let's say, which year it was established. So we'll have self dot uname equal to name, self dot year established equal to year established. Okay. Then we'll add um, function on the function here, and we'll call it as display. Okay. Let me not add display for now. Okay. Or let me add. Okay. Let me add this. And we'll say print something like this. Okay. The university was the university name. So self dot uname was established in the year, and I'm going to say self dot year established. Okay. Simple class. You call object, so u1 equal to university, and I'm going to pass value like ABC university established in the year. Let's say I put 1968. Okay. So now when you call u1 dot display, okay, you'll get the okay. You can have multiple universities, right? I can have one more university, u2, and I will say management university, let's say. And here we'll say XYZ. And this was established in, let's say, 98. Right? And this is U2. Now, if I call U2, we know that we're talking about XYZ. Perfect. Okay. So we have university. Now, university will have professors, will have students, right? Now, since professor and student will have different set of properties, we'll create two different classes for professor, right? So let's talk about professor. I create a class called professors. Okay. And def init. So what are some of the properties that professors will have? Professor will have professor name. It will have uh, the university to which it is affiliated. Okay. Let's say salary. Okay. Let's say these are the three things that professors will have. Now I'm going to create self dot name equal to name, self dot university equal to university, self dot salary equal to salary. Okay. Now, since it has university, it can have a university can also have its own information, right? So what I'll do is I will create university year of establishment, right? Now I'll say dot university establishment equal to year established. Now see, the challenge here is, of course, you can print all these things, okay? In the, let's say I go for here and I call this def print info. Don't say print because then our print will be lost, right? The print that we're using globally. When you have two print function, which when you have defined here and the global one, which we've been using all these days, okay, so the local one will be taken. So if you say print this one, then our original print will be lost. Okay, so don't use inbuilt functions. Okay, we lose access to those. So print info. Okay, and I can quietly say print self dot name slash n self dot university slash n self dot university establishment dot slash n, and I'll say salary. Okay, so here you call P1 equal to professors, and I'll say Sachin. Okay, what's the next? University. So university, I'll say ABC University. Okay, salary, let's say 167,000, and let's say year of start 1968. Okay, which is good, right? University XYZ, that is coming from there. And now I will say P1 dot, okay, print info. So you will have Sachin ABC University 1968 salary. All these things are printed. Okay. Now we'll have one more class. Let's say we call it as students, right? All these are three different classes, right? And of course, you can create all these three multiple values here. Now here, okay, I'm going to add here. Now you see, name, the salary. Let's say we talk about marks obtained. Okay, so what is the marks? Okay, rest everything is same, right? So now here I will say student one equal to students. I'll say Virat. I'll say XYZ University, and marks I will say 75%. Okay, and then you can say S1 print info. So S1 print info is done, right? Now you see, this is our S1, this is our Professor P1, and this is our University U1, right? So all these three are independent classes. They work independently, and we're able to call them and use all their members and function. Okay, so far. Okay, good. Now you see that the professor and student belongs to same university. So we have to give duplicate information, right? We already have university with this information. Then why should we give duplicate information? This is where inheritance comes into picture. So right now, if you remember the diagram that we discussed yesterday, okay, you have professor here, you have no university there, professor here, and student here, right? So you have university, okay, you have professors and you have students here. All three are separate classes. Okay. Now, if you go back here, we can clearly see that, okay, sorry. You're still seeing the paint, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we can see here that, okay, university, since university has those information, university can be a parent class or the base class, right? And university can also be a parent class for this. So it's like university as base class and professor and student. Okay. So the information which is common, like university name and establishment, need not be here and here. Okay, this can actually get it from this. So this is like your vehicles and cars, right? Or what's a motorcycle? So you have cars and motorcycles. So common, which are common between these two, can we put here? There is no need to have a separate, duplicating same information in all the three classes. Or let's say if you do not want university, still you're duplicating in two classes. So we don't want to duplicate three values or two values. So instead what we'll put university as a parent class or base class. And we'll make other two classes inherit those properties from professor, sorry, university. Why university can be parent class? Because it is common in professor and student, both.
Yes.
Okay. So we will not let professor and student duplicate, right? Duplicate. So you know the problem with duplicate. Duplicate means you have to enter data again and again, right? And tomorrow, let's say if ABC International wants to change its name, okay, you don't know where all you are using ABC International. You'll have to change at multiple places. It's like this, your telephone diary there, let's say nobody carries these days diaries, but let's say you have some notes, okay, say Python note. You decide to duplicate this Python note. You say that, okay, since sometimes I'll be in my bedroom, sometimes I'll be in my drawing room. So let me create two different copy of Python notes. I can refer them whenever, if I'm here also, I'll be able to have access. The problem is, this is good when you're doing it only for reading. And that's what we'll discuss when we get into data warehousing versus, the normal database design. If you are designing only for reading, if you have a textbook, then it's okay. You can have multiple textbook and kept it different location and you can read them. But when talk about class note, running notes, right? It is not a good idea to have multiple copies because today, next day when you're writing new notes, okay, you don't know how many copies you have and you will update only one, let's say, or two. You have three copies, but you forgot they have three and you updated only two. And while reading, let's say you are handling the third copy, right? So third copy has incorrect information, has incomplete information, right? So that's why we prefer in digital format, we prefer only one copy. Do not create multiple copies. Because if you create multiple copies, you don't know which is latest. Okay, the editing maintenance is very difficult. Maintenance is difficult. That's why we don't create multiple copies in digital format. But if your interest is, if you want only to read it, okay, then it's fine. Okay, then you can have multiple copies. But very rarely, we have something to read, right? You'll make some notes, you'll make some changes. So you will have to maintain it, right? We do not want, okay. So that's why we do not want to have multiple copies. Here we have three copies, right? So how can we make it one? So which is the best place to keep? University should be in university, information should be in university class, right? So that is the best place. Now, how do we access from professor and student? If university can be created as a parent class, then parent class of professors, professor will be able to access the university, as well as if you make parent class, okay, For student, student will also be able to
Access.
access university information, right? So we now need to make university class parent for both these classes. Okay. So how do we make parent class for both of these classes? Let's go and check. We're switching back to the code. Okay. So first thing is I will go and I will say here bracket open and close. Okay. So see, parent need not have information about children, right? If you look at your parents' Aadhaar card or passport or PAN card, they don't have children's name, right?
Yes.
They have their parents' name. When you look at your documents, you will have your parents' name, right? So parent doesn't need to have the children's name. You don't have to make any changes here. Children needs to link itself to the parent. Okay. So professor should say, university is my parent. Okay. Student has to say, university is my parent. So you link from children to the parent. You don't link from parent to children. Okay. Obviously, we know we don't do that. Okay. Now what happens? Okay. Now if I run it, will there be any change? No, there is no error. Okay. Because we remember yesterday what we said, children can have its own set of properties. If children also has university details, then the parent information will not be taken care of. So it's like when you have it, let's say you have your own car and your parent has their own car. Both of you have car, then you will use your own car. You will not use your parents' car. Only when you do not have, you'll have access to your parents' car, right? So what I'll do here, okay, I do not want, the whole purpose of creating this class was that I do not want to duplicate this. I do not want to duplicate this. Okay. Same thing with student. I don't want to duplicate this. I do not want to duplicate this. But when you create an object of student, it needs to have these values to link it. Okay. So what I'll do, okay, I will link it to the parent. So how will I link it? I'm going to call the parents init class. Manually, I have to call it. So when you call student or professor, it has to manually call universities init to assign the university values. So I'll say here university dot init, okay, and then here you mark the university dot year established. Okay, same thing you do with professor here. So I'm saying university and year established. Okay, call university a class and assign those values, because the display information we can then borrow from class university. So I come here. Now I don't have to, okay, you can print this, no problem. When you run it, what happened? University has missing one required positional argument. Here established. Where is this error? P1 equal, line number 10, right? Line number 10. Okay. So since you're calling, so this is not a, like we have to link it, no? This is object specific, right? So this object should be linked to the object that you create here. So we have to add self also here. Okay, here automatically PyCharm did not add, but we have to add self here to indicate that this professor object is similar to the object that you create for the university. Okay, so automatically university object will be created, and here also same thing will happen. Now when you run it, absolutely no problem. Okay, so this is created, object is created. This is printing. Printing will fix it. 29 is now P1. Okay, in P1, you do not have self dot university or
Yes.
self dot
Yes.
established, right?
Yes.
So we will remove this. Okay, we will remove this. Okay, instead, what we'll do, we'll call display. Okay, we will call
Display.
display. Display what? University dot display. Okay, since we have created using self, it knows, okay, which one to link. Okay, same thing we will do with here. Okay, missing one required position argument, self. So we need to give the self here. Okay, now you see here, when we created Virat, we added XYZ Management University, right? So see, Virat 75% marks, XYZ University was established in 1988. So it is because of the self keyword is able to link those objects. Okay, see, I gave extra slash and that's why you see blank here. Or instead slash and we can give something like this, name and marks. And similarly here also we can give name and salary. Okay, so now you see that, right? Virat has University XYZ Management and Sachin has ABC University, right? Sachin has ABC University. It could pull the information. So now information is complete. You have avoided duplicate of the code. You have added duplication of the code. This is why we use inheritance. Okay.
Sir, when calling like the university, can you go back to the code once?
Now, in this case, university is kind of irrelevant, right? I mean, we're not
Yeah.
using in standalone university
But,
anymore.
like inside the like professors and student class, when you call university.init self university, yeah, that line, are we supposed that like that's that unit after self that univ and year established whatever was in university we have to keep that or like
Exactly,
it
exactly.
says name and year established, right? So
No, so it's a variable that is getting passed, right?
mm-hmm.
So when you see, remember like when we did functions, the variable name doesn't matter, the value matters.
Okay.
Self will go to self,
Yeah.
okay? Self goes to self, univ goes to name, and year goes to year. So
Also, okay.
this, right? So when self goes to self, that's how it is linked to this object, this particular object.
Okay. Okay.
And the value of university goes to the name. Year
Okay.
established value goes to the year established. These are two different variables. So
Okay.
you only have passing by value here. Value gets passed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So this is a simple example of showing you, what is inheritance. Now you will have parents information. Now let's say there's one more class. Okay. There's one more class called city info. Okay. And and for now, let's not put anything in city. The init is not there. I'm simply putting def display, okay, display print city equal to Hyderabad. I'm just giving fixed value for now. Now let's say if city is also parent of professor, you can say university comma city. Okay, city info, right? Sorry, city info. Okay, here university comma city info. Now you see when I run it, okay, university city also has display, right? And university also has display. And when I call this, okay, object S1 dot print display. No, we are not calling. Okay, we are calling in the print info itself. So we are calling university.display, right? So you get university.display. I can call here cityinfo.display, right? Cityinfo.display. And here also I call cityinfo.display. So now you will even have, okay, self, sorry. Okay, because self is generally added by PyCharm directly. So, okay. So now when you call it, so it calls city equal to Hyderabad, right? We have given a fixed value. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. Now let's say if I say S1 dot display, S1 dot. Okay, so what did we say? Parents functions are available. Parents methods are available for S1. Now, if I say S1 dot display, now S1 does not have its own display, right? S1 is student. Student does not have its own display. If it does not have its own display, then it will go and check in the parent, right? It has two parents and both the parents have display. Then which one will be called,
The one that was called first.
right?
Yes.
Yes. Now this is S1, right? Now see this, you got established here, right? Now if I change this university to after info, okay, so see, city. None of the other things got changed because everything else we are exactly referring the class name. Here we are saying university.display, city info.display. But here it is always the nearest. Okay. So if it nearest means if you have it your own, okay, you will take it. Now let's say if you have your mother and father, like they have your different cars, right? Whichever is near to your place, you will take. Right? So in
Yes.
this case, city info is nearer to student. So it picked city info display. Now if I take professor, university is nearer, right? So if I say P1 dot display, professor will display the university's display because that is the nearer. So you can have father grandfather relationship, right? You can, so if father has display, okay, let's say I create one more, okay, I create one more class. Okay, class country info. Okay, and here also I give display. Okay, country equal to India, and I say that university is derived from country info. Okay, so obviously no problem here. But now if I say here P1 dot display, obviously you will not able to reach grandfather level, right? P1 will do at this. Now, but if I make this as, let's say, display 1, just some different name. Okay. Okay, display 1. Now, if I call display 1, will it throw error? No. You're able to access grandfather. It becomes like grandparent, right?
Yes.
So, professor is derived from university, university is derived from country. So you're able to access country info. This is called inheritance. Inheritance means you can, right? Not you will always. You can inherit parents' property. If you have your own, you will not. If you do not have your own, you will check in parent. If parent does not have grandparent, okay? And whichever is nearer to you, you will access that and use it for your purpose. Okay. Now, Okay, so now we'll talk about those three properties that we discussed other day, yesterday: public, private, and protected. All these what we used are public, right? All these variable names are public, 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 public. Okay, public because we do not use underscore or single or double underscore. Okay. Now, if we use, let's say, this display one, I want it to be managed only by the classes, okay, which are derived from country info. So I'll say, I'll put underscore. Now this can be done for class, sorry, members for the class. So it can be for methods or variables. Methods will also be public, private, protected. Variables will also be public, private, protected, right? Now, if I say display one here, okay, and if I go here, okay, obviously display is not there. Now, will display one appear? Sorry, display one appeared because P1 is indirectly derived from P1 is indirectly derived from, okay, country info, isn't it? So it's like information protected is information which you have hiding from public, but you can display to your family and friends. Family and friends means derived class. So protected members are accessible by derived classes. Okay. Now, same thing if I make it private here, if I go and say double underscore, okay, and you try to do double underscore here, okay, you will get error because okay, okay, so when you make private, right? So let me use different class. Okay, let's not make same class because you will have this in your save, right? So let's make it. Okay, I think this is the best one to use as. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll move this down here and later I'll demonstrate. Private members are not accessible outside the class. Doesn't matter whether you derive the class or you're using other methods, functions, or variables, doesn't really matter. But you can't use something which is private. Okay. And same thing if I do P1. Okay. So, okay. Let me do one thing. Display one is here, and we will say display two. We'll put display two. Okay, so this is private and this is protected, right? And this is your public. Okay, so I told you, right? This is how you declare functions or variables. Both will have this kind of properties. Country is India, let's say, just to differentiate between these two. So this is display two, right? And we'll put here P1 dot display. It should come display two, right? Okay. Now you have city info. City info does not have any relationship with country info, correct? So now if I create a member of city info, I say city equal to city info, right? So I can use city info one dot display. Okay. Now city info dot underscore, there's nothing here, right? Because what did we say? Protected members can only be used by its own chain, right? Family, friends. It cannot be used outside your relatives, right? Outside your chain. So it's not displaying. But what I'll do is I will somehow use it. I'll give the name and I'll try to run it. So see, uh, country is India. No, display to, is it error? No. Oh, wait. Okay. So now I think maybe in this version, I think protected has been added. Okay. Okay. So this is properties of new one. Here you cannot act. Okay. Yeah. And it derived class, right? But you see here, okay, the protected member is not available here, right? But it can call here. So if you have country info, okay, city info can call country info dot, okay. So when you create a object of this, right? When you create an object of uh, country info, okay, but that's okay. So don't worry about it. So see, this anyway is not linked to country info, right? So this is not able, this will not even know where the display 2 is in, right? It doesn't know where the display 2 is in. But for rest of the things, it is accessible, right? P1 can access because it's in the grandfather's uh, grandfather's class, right? So yeah, so this is what I wanted to discuss about um, uh, inheritance. I want you to now do a program. So, so what I was saying is like first objective of doing inheritance is to save the code, right? You are not duplicating the code. Second objective is when you want to force the classes to have some properties, right? So you have university. University has two classes, okay, professor and student, and I want these two classes to have generate info method. What I'll do here is print, sorry, this is not implemented. So this is what raise is doing. Instead of saying raise, you can say, sorry, this is not implemented. Okay, generate. Now I'll say generate or I'm just saying something, okay? Generate, make it ready or something. Okay, print, sorry, this is not implemented. Now, in this case, okay, university, you will hide it from the people. The user will not know what university is. Now, when I create my student object, right, S1 dot, now you see display name, print info, is generate info, make ready, both are there, right? Okay. Now when I say generate info, what information I'll get? Sorry, this is not implemented. Okay. So as a student object, you'll feel bad. Okay. So what you will do is, since you can't change the parent, you will have a property within the student here called def generate info, and let's say this generate marks, print marks are being generated. So what I just did here is I forced the derived class to have implemented the method, right? So if your father wants you to do something and let's say you're not doing it, okay, then what he'll do, he'll say, okay, he's not doing it, so let me do this myself, you know. So in a way, you will have to do it yourself. Did you understand what I'm trying to say? Since generate info is the parent class, it is visible to the objects of both student and the professor, right? And what I did, I said sorry. Now, if somebody generates this s1.generateInfo, they will get sorry. So what you are doing, you do not want to generate sorry message. So you are forced to create your own method called generateInfo and then add the logic. Same concept, but we are now reading from reverse side. So one, okay, one that you want to have a common thing, okay, like display info is common, you know, so why to duplicate the stuff? But sometime, okay, you do not want to duplicate, but you want to force the object to have that property. And of course, you know, when we force it, it will not be same, because if it is same, then you will have it in the parent class. Here you are generating marks, and for professor, you want to generate, let's say, payslip. Did you get what I'm saying? Tell me no if you don't understand, so that I'll repeat it again. Print generating payslip. So now when I call p1.generateInfo, okay, you get generating payslip, right? Okay, one is then we have common method. So you put it in the parent so that both the children will be able to access. Okay, this is what we saw. Second way is, okay, if you want your children class to implement a specific method, okay, then you just put a sample declaration in the parent one. If you generate a sample declaration in parent one, then children are forced to implement it, right? You do not want to say sorry to your friends. So he'll say, okay, let me implement it. You know, you will not forget to implement it. So same thing is happening here in this class. Okay, sorry, let me share that. So here in this point is your parent. Okay, then you have shape as another parent. So point is one,
Point and shape.
point and shape. Okay, now in shape, area is one that you want all your derived classes to implement. The shape can be two-dimensional, three-dimensional. Okay, so when you have two-dimensional shape, area will be different, and for three-dimensional, area will be different. Is it not? Is it not?
Yes.
Three-dimensional will have different formula. So I can't put it here. I can't put it in shape. If it was common only, I could put it here. But I want both two-dimensional and three-dimensional to implement area. So I'll put an area here and I'll say, please implement area method. So if you don't implement, you'll get this message. So in a way, you are forcing the derived classes to implement this method as well. Okay. So
Okay.
try working on this.
Okay.
Tomorrow we'll talk about we have already spoken about init. Tomorrow we'll talk about some other common methods like str, okay, and few other common methods. What is the purpose, okay, and when it is used. But here, you know, str is used to print a string value. Okay, that's what it means. So try working on this. This has a lot of concept into it. And of course, you know, you should ask me, okay, All this concept, I'm going to do it in bits and pieces. This example takes everything together and put it as one example. Okay, so please try working on this. I'll share the link.